Our final example is a word problem. It says here, to set up a computer network in an office, a 100-foot cable is cut and used to connect 3 computers to the server as shown. How much cable is left to connect the 3rd computer? So it says add the measures of the cables that were already used and then subtract that sum from 100, the length of the cable. So we have this picture here, and it says to connect one of the computers they used 19 1/8 feet, to connect another one they used 40 3/4 feet, and we need to connect a 3rd one, but we don't know how much cable will be left from the original cable that was 100 foot in length. So step number 1 here is we're going to add up how much we've used. So we have used 19 1/8 feet of cord plus 40 3/4 feet of cord. Common denominator for 8 and 4. Well, 4 will divide into 8. So our common denominator, our least common denominator, will be 8. So 19 1/8 plus 40 3/4. I'm going to multiply 40 3/4 by 2 over 2, and that's going to give me 40 6 over 8. I'm going to just drag 19 1/8 over. Both numbers are positive, so I'm just going to add them, and I will get 7/8 as my fraction and 59 as my whole number. Well, that's just the first part of this problem. It said, well, we had a 100-foot cord to begin with. So what do we have left after we use the 59 7/8? So that means we are going to have to subtract the 59 7/8 that we've used from the 100-foot cord that we began with. Well, to do this problem, let's first write them up and down. I would put 100, my larger number, on top, and the 59 7/8 on the bottom. Making sure that I line up the whole numbers together by their place value and putting the fraction off to the side here. Keeping in mind I am subtracting them. Well, I have a little issue here. I don't have a fraction up on the top to subtract 7/8 from. The thought is, well, can't I just drop the 7/8 down? And the answer to that is no, because that would technically be adding. I would be taking 0 on the top plus 7/8 to get 7/8. That's not how we subtract. If I were to have 0 here where above 7/8, I would actually have to borrow in order to put something there to subtract from. And that's what we're going to do here. We are actually going to borrow from the 100, leaving 99, and putting a fraction equal to 1 above the 7/8. That fraction has to have the common denominator. And since 8's my only denominator at this point, the fraction equal to 1 that I'm going to use is 8/8. So I'm borrowing 1 from the 100, leaving 99, and putting 8/8 above 7/8. Now I can subtract. 8/8 minus 7/8 is 1/8. 9 minus 9 is 0. 9 minus 5 is 40. So after I've connected the first 2 computers, I will have 40 1/8 feet of cable left to connect the 3rd. That takes us up to the guided practice